Hello. Hope it's not too windy, that you can hear me okay. So, vlog number 4, I think, and it's been a really interesting week since my last vlog. I worked really long hours last week, actually a ridiculous amount of hours, really, 58 hours in a week, which is not too desirable, but there it is. And I made some really interesting observations in the pub. Now, just switch the phone around a bit. The first observation was the collective need of people to complain. It's really interesting, isn't it, that we come together through our common complaints. And if you know anything about the law of attraction, you know that complaining brings you more things to complain about. And it's really interesting because if you see my other blogs, you know that I work in a pub. It's really interesting to see the people who complain a lot because they get a lot of things to complain about, and the people who are pretty positive, who talk about all the great things that happen in their life. And I did this little experiment I'm just going to tell you about. So this one customer came in, I'm not going to say their name, obviously, because I don't want to reveal their identity. And I've kind of nicknamed this person Eeyore, you know, from Winnie the Pooh, because they just come in with this aura of, I always say they have a little black rain cloud following them around. And they come in and this person really started to bring me down by talking about their problems. And I thought, right, I'm going to take it upon myself to try and pivot this person's perspective on what is happening and try and give them a few different angles to think about things. And I managed to, without being too cheesy, turn that frown upside down. I managed to make that person smile. I managed to make that person go, yeah, I didn't think about it like that. So that was a really interesting little experiment. And I hope I managed to allow that person to leave with a slightly different perspective on some of the problems, perceived problems that they have in their life. It was just really interesting. The other thing I noticed was, so I wrote down a few little bits and pieces that I wanted to manifest during that week at work. One of those things was, and I'll be honest about this with you, one of those things was I wanted to be open to receiving 350 euros in tips. So in Germany, it's very, it's just normal basically to tip your servers, to tip the bar person, to tip the person in a restaurant, your hairdresser. Tipping is total German culture. And it's normally around about 10%, but people tend to kind of round it up. It's no kind of hard and fast rule, to be honest, not like in the US where it's kind of a percentage. It's just kind of, you know, how they kind of feel about how you were serving them, or they just round it up to the nearest, you know, if it's 17 euros, they might round it up to 20, that kind of thing. And I put down that I would like to manifest 350 euros. And I actually manifested 380. So I was really pleased about that, because in Germany as well, tips are tax-free. So, you know, that's quite a lot of money during the week. So I was really happy about that. Also, now this is the interesting thing. On my manifestation list, I wanted to, I can't remember if it was Wednesday or Thursday last week, one of those 2 days, I wanted to manifest only positive, interesting, inspiring experiences and people to come into the pub. And this is what happened. The first person to come in after that was this lady person who, I hope it's not too windy for you, I'm trying to cover the microphone. The first person to come in was this person who brought their little rain cloud with them. And I kind of jokingly, looked up to the sky and said to the universe, come on, we had a deal. Why did you send me this person? But I chose then to see it a different way, to see it in terms of, this is some kind of learning experience. There's something that I'm supposed to glean from this. And I used it as a kind of little experiment, and it worked to help that person to feel a little better. Not long after that, somebody else came in who is a regular person who's kind of tricky to deal with. And again, I kind of looked to the sky. I was like, come on, you've sent me one, now you've sent me another one. What's going on here? And then another one came in. We have some tricky customers. And I found myself, and this is the key here, I found myself just saying, well, isn't that interesting? And I kind of just decided to laugh at it. I decided to create a perspective of humour about it. I decided to find it humorous. The universe doesn't test us. It doesn't send us things and situations and people to test us. It sends us a reflection of our energy. So somehow I was being sent people who needed to be cheered up. And then I thought to myself, is it me? Do I need to be cheered up? And the answer at the moment is yes, because the prospect, I knew that I was going to have to work this really long week, and the prospect of having to work, it was only 5 days, but it was 58 hours in 5 days, and the prospect of having to do that wasn't making me feel particularly cheerful and good about it. Oh, it's a lovely butterfly. And basically the universe sent me a reflection of how I was feeling. I had this feeling of wanting to feel better about a situation. So what happened? I got sent people who wanted to feel better about a situation. I'm in a position to be able to help people like that. I have years of experience of counselling and therapy and homeopathy and nutritional therapy and listening to people's problems and understanding. And that's what the universe sent me, a direct reflection of how I was feeling. I was feeling good about the tips that were going to come to me. So the tips came to me. I kind of knew that, the way that I put myself out to my customers was going to be reflected back in how much I made in tips, and that worked. And I got more than I'd actually put on my manifestation list. But it also sent me how I was feeling about the situation that I was in. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that so interesting? So that was one of the observations that I made this week. Another really interesting observation is, and this might apply to some people, but maybe not to others, but this is really interesting for me. I have not had the urge to have a drink since I came back from that festival last week. Usually when I'm at work, it gets to the end of the night and I think, just a little drink before bedtime. Nothing big, just a half a Guinness or something like that. And I have had not even a single urge to drink any kind of alcohol. In fact, I've kind of felt really off it, I've really felt like I felt so clean and so clear and so content with being able to observe things through this manifestation experiment, that actually the thought of clouding that kind of judgment, clouding that clarity, it just doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. And that's super interesting for me because I really like a drink. Not in terms of, for me, it's not kind of a form of escapism or anything like that, because I've been through the whole trauma therapy experience and I'm okay. I've come out the other side of that perfectly well. I know my triggers, I know my traumas, I know how to deal with that. But it's been really interesting for me to just not feel like drinking alcohol. I've also not been snacking. I've been eating really healthy. I've been, when I'm at home, not when I'm in the city, but I'm out walking, isn't this just beautiful? I'm out in nature. And I'm just feeling really clean and full of clarity and good about the way that this is going. And sure, there's still a little bit of impatience, you know, there's still some impatience around, you know, not working too much and wanting to work less. There's impatience around not getting the stuff that I want to get done for my Etsy shop quick enough because of working so many long hours. Sure, there is a little bit of frustration creeping in around that, but as soon as I notice that, I'm able to nip it in the bud and say, no, I'm okay, things are going okay. Everything happens in divine timing. Everything that's happening, every thought, every action, every inspired action, it's all happening at the right time, at the right pace, in exactly the way that the universe knows that I can deal with it. And when I kind of bring that thought back to center, everything just becomes okay. The ripples on the pond get less, it all flattens out, it becomes smooth. One last thing, one last observation is that I really cannot emphasize the importance for me of having my own coach. So I have my own coach. I've tagged them in the description underneath this video. My coach is a tapping coach, she's a business coach, she's amazing, and the program that I've been on with her for the last couple of years has come to an end, and I'm really missing having the support and the interaction with her. So I'm going to be going on to her next program, because I think the importance of having someone to feed back to, having someone that can, you know, give you pointers, tell you, you know, kick your ass basically, tell you when you need to pull your head in, or give you the support that you need, or, you know, tell you when you're doing well. That is really invaluable, because we are not islands. We are creatures that need support, creatures that need community, creatures that need interaction. I hope this is not too windy. And I really can't put enough emphasis on how important that is for me. I know it's important for the girls that are in the coaching group with this particular coach of mine, and it's not therapy, it's support, and support is really important. Having a supportive network around you is important. Getting rid of, okay, final observation, getting rid of toxic people in your life is really important. I've noticed in the last week there are some people in my life I really enjoy having in my life, and some people who I feel not excited to see. I might be okay with speaking to them online, but I don't relish the thought of being in their company because they're toxic. And it's those kind of people that you need to cut out of life, even if they've been your friends for years and years. I'm thinking of a specific person for myself. And welcome in the people that make you, help you to feel good about yourself, laughing and joking and joy. The people that bring you joy in your life, those are the people to have around you. Building that community of support and joy and happiness around you. That's my observations for this week. I hope it hasn't been too windy in the microphone. I have got it covered up. But I really wanted to do this vlog outside because, you know, it's just beautiful. So see you next time, whenever that will be. I'm not sure. I'm not going to put any commitment on it. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. A little PS to add to the end of that vlog that just came to mind that I wanted to share with you this week as well. As I was walking, it came to me. There's someone in my life who basically always thinks that the worst is going to happen. They read the news, the local news or the radio, and they instantly really assume that that bad thing's going to happen to them, and they need to take extra special caution to avoid it happening. I find that really difficult to deal with. because I'm a person who quite often doesn't think about the risk of anything, because I believe that everything is going to be okay, because that's my experience in life. I've always fallen on my feet. It's one thing I've always said to myself. I always fall on my feet. I always land on my feet. And this person in my life, who I'm quite close to, it's family, extended family, always thinks that the worst is going to happen. And at the moment, I'm not quite sure how to deal with that, because I try and negate what they're saying. I try to put things in a bit more of a positive perspective, but they're not having any of it. And it's getting worse. That person is, year by year, seeing the risks of life appearing in their life. Nothing bad has happened to them yet. Well, they have been quite ill in the past. Another story. But it's been an observation this week that I actually find that tricky to deal with. I'm going to have a look into that and see if I can clean up my energy around that, because I think I really do need to clean up my energy around that. And I'll let you know how that goes. So that's my PS over. Goodbye, definitely this time.